fortune, fame, mirror vein, gone insane, but the memory remains.
Hello everybody, and welcome to part, I believe this would be 7 of the letter. Last we left off, we finished Marianne's storyline. Actually managed to get her to survive without, having to reload a save because I was too pissy about the whole I died thing. Although I very much thought I was about to die, but, potato potato. We're going to Rebecca's storyline now. And keep in mind, this is the middle of the day, so, yeah. It's gonna be fun if I get interrupted. God damn. Oh, wait a minute, this is from Marianne. This is how it begins, or so they say. With the gentle wind drifting through wide-open windows, muffled laughter and footsteps fading behind empty hallways, and the light kiss of the afternoon sun. Soon there will be a call, a crossing of thresholds into the unknown. Maybe you are off to some grand adventure, or diving into another gripping mystery. One can't really tell. For all I know, a hero might even come sweep me off my feet if I'm lucky.
That's not exactly a bad thing when you think about it.
But this is far from one, isn't it? A riveting tale, that is. Okay, so it's the 21st. April 1st, Aries, 29. 5'5", history teacher, Scottish. She's a Scotsman! She's atheist, raised Kirk. I don't know what that means. Master's degree in education, major in European history. Likes stovies, reading in the library, going to the gym, cycling and jogging, lacrosse, and lesson plans. That sounds horrible. Okay, so it's the 21st. That would mean it's this area here. The wild breeze, the faint murmurs, the warm rays painting every nook and cranny a fiery hue. They are all as real as they can get. As much as I want to write a little tale out of this, I'm far from someone who can. Fleeting fancies, that's what they are. Merely passing through thoughts to occupy my idle mind, while waiting for another busy work days to end. Then again, maybe in another life, I am one, who knows? But at present, what I have and what I've chosen to be, well...
I won't last years here if I find teaching rowdy adolescents a tedious job, will I?
Admittedly, the whole affair isn't exactly as grand or exciting as I had imagined as a child. If I weren't so stubborn and too passionate about the whole idea, I probably had quit a long time ago. But it's always the kids that make it worthwhile, isn't it? As if in agreement, as soon as my pen slides into neat circles against the papers I'm grading, the final bell rings. Like a dam that has been opened, students began piling out into the hallway soon after. For a short minute, I let the noise fill my ears, and let my mind wander to a place far removed from all the hubbub. Solitary moments like this have come few and far between lately. Never checked this. Oh my god, this is gonna be a long one. Alright, let's find out how many quick times I have to look forward to. Let's see. Not seeing one. Oh, there's one. All the way at the end. This is gonna be long as hell, so I better get to reading. Even my own home hasn't been as quiet as usual, as I usually prefer. Though in hindsight, the entire place hasn't been the same either since Isabella moved in next door. And if her fusing over a minor cold last week tells anything, I might as well throw any idea of solitude out the nearest balcony, so long she lives nearby. At the memory, my eyes automatically shift over to the bottle sitting on the edge of my desk. A chuckle escapes from me as I reach for
A
it.
little ball of energy and enthusiasm. That big baby.
Mother Hen, she calls me, and then says and does the same thing right after. It's not that I'm unused to being on the receiving end of other people's worries, or I feel any sort of apprehension over her fretting. If I'm completely honest, it's actually amusing how someone can be childlike one minute, then act like a responsible adult the next. But there's a dissonance, I think that's pronounced it. Okay, dissonance there, both in her actions and words. Although she may not look it, may not say anything, may not lose her cheer one way or the other, I know these troubles have weighed down on her lately. Her face says it all. That big numpty. Numpty? Fuck it, I pronounced it right, I guess. If she thinks I won't notice, she's got another thing coming for her. That's how she's always been. I do understand that part, loud and clear. It's just that I really rather not pass another burden down to her.
Or become one myself.
Aren't I supposed to be the one taking care of them? Though I guess that's simply one of those things people eventually grow away from once you've all started leading different lives. Not completely different, I hope. Somehow that makes me feel uneasy. Thankfully, before stranger ideas can take root in my head, a faint buzzing comes from my bag, cutting through the rest of my thoughts. A small frown forms on my lips as the screen lights up, an unknown number flashes. For a long second, my thumb hovers over the answer button. Even the voice that responds, once I do accept the call, is wholly unfamiliar.
Hello?
Oh, goodness. Finally, it connects. Hello? Is this Miss Gales? Rebecca Gales?
Yes, speaking. Who is this?
Oh, sorry. Rose Cooper, Briar Realty Corporation.
Briar Realty?
A frown deepens as I straighten in my chair. Something in her tone, despite sounding remarkably friendly and light, doesn't sit quite well with me. The rigid pause that follows doesn't help ease the tension that has suddenly descended either.
Miss Cooper?
Yes. Things are a bit busy on my end. I apologize. I'm not certain if Isabella has mentioned anything before, but we're working together on a property at the moment, and...
The Armengard Mansion, yes. She said something about that earlier. Is there a problem?
This is about Isabella, actually.
She wastes no time relaying everything. The details she provides me, admittedly a bit vague, but enough for me to get the gist of what happened. It isn't the bad sort I'm expecting, though still worrying, especially with words panic attack, pale, looking a bit sickly, woven together in one foreboding sentence. But as quickly as it surfaces, I stomp down the urge to demand answers, right there and then. Now isn't the proper time for useless questions. I'll find out soon enough, regardless. To Miss Cooper's credit, she neither hesitates nor falters all throughout. There's some sort of comfort in knowing Isabella's it has someone like her to guide her, though not as much as I would have liked. After all, this is Isabella we're talking about. What are the chances she just said a bunch of excuses so she won't get sent home. Hi. Very high. Oh, she is so gonna hear it this time.
You were listed as one of her emergency contacts, so I thought it'd be best you know about this.
How is she? Is she doing okay?
I had her take a break for now, but honestly, I'd feel better if someone were to pick her up and take her home for some rest. Anthem's a fair distance from Luxborn. I really don't want her going off on her own. I'd do it myself, but well, you know how it is today. Big day. People everywhere until the open house ends. I'm really sorry to ask this of you, Miss Gales. I know you're busy.
Oh, no, it's all good. I was just about to leave from work. I hope to leave early today anyway. A few minutes ahead wouldn't hurt. I can be there in a few, 30, 40 minutes tops. Is that all right?
More than fine, Miss Gales, thank you. We're supposed to be here until... Oh, excuse me. One moment, please. Yes, ma'am.
A faint hum of conversation echoes from her end. It sounds as though the place is buzzing with more people than you'd expect than from a regular open house. I was skeptical at first. They misspelled skeptical. The house is old, not to mention its inconvenient location in Luxborn's outskirts. I really need to stop saying Luxembourg. Who wants to live in a place almost an hour's drive away from the comforts of a city? But from what little I can hear, it appears Isabella has every right to be optimistic about the sale. But I don't understand why she was so adamantly refusing my offer of help before. I think I do now, to some degree.
We'll be resuming the tour soon. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. I really need to get this thing going. Lord knows how I'll salvage the situation here. It shouldn't be anything complicated, but still, clients. They can be difficult when they want to be. Anyway, just look for me when you get here, alright? I shouldn't be too hard to miss.
No problem. Thanks for letting me know about this. Just make sure Isabella stays put, please. Heaven knows how stubborn that girl can be.
Oh, believe me, I know. Don't worry about it. I'll have a few of our staff keep an eye on her for me until you get here.
That's all I'm asking. I appreciate it.
The whole thing ends on a surprisingly pleasant note. If only the same can be said for the news she brought. I allow a brief moment to pass to ease whatever tension has lashed itself firmly onto my nerves. But no matter how much I wish for it, my mind stubbornly refuses to do so. My hands are unsteady against the papers I pretend to arrange after. Lucid thoughts, every single ounce of it grimmer than the other, grows with each passing second I linger. Something about the whole thing, along with the sudden unease and nagging worry, screams off. Wrong. This is the riveting tale I hoped to step into today. Even on a rush, getting everything in order before leaving takes nearly a good quarter hour. By the time I make it out of the classroom, commotion has already died down, dwindling to mere echoes and distant laughter. From the nearby room, melodies from the rehearsing band drifts freely into the air, filling the almost empty hallway with their warm, lively tunes. Any other day, I'll stop, bask in the music, and enjoy what little peace it brings. Not today, however. My steps are brisk and sure as I march to Eddard's Hall's exit. I think I said that right. The sooner I confirm Isabella's okay, the sooner I can shake off this nagging feeling. For one reason or another, that single call of all possible things has thrown everything off kilter. I'd rather this be over as quickly as possible. God damn it, it's fucking 4:50. Why am I yawning? So much that I nearly barrel over my student in my haste. Though perhaps it's really the other way around. And I look down, a set of eyes, bright and hopeful, stare back at me. Her arms are wrapped around my waist like a vice, and to my attention, a grin spreads over her face. What the hell?
Hello, Kylie. You know, you aren't supposed to run into people like that.
Hang on a second. Alright, well, looks like I'm going to be having a little bit more work on me, having to edit these two pieces together. I had to make sure that the audio was fine, since Splinter Cell did that shit where only my voice was recorded and then no other audio. So, yeah. And she doesn't have a voice, apparently. Sorry, Miss Pink. She loosens her hold on me, but not a hint of guilt or regret appears on her. If anything, it seems the remark only amused her. A smile appears on my face before I can help it, matching the one on her own.
Just remember not to do it again, all right? You could get hurt.
You sound like my mama when she's scolding Rowan, Miss Pink.
Hang on a second. What was I doing? Journal. It's not gonna say who was on there. Okay, because what I was about to say is I'm pretty sure that Rowan's name was in the recording. Like, you know, they refer to someone as Rowan. So Zaki thinks she a ghost.
I'm sure your mama only means well. I know she'll be worried sick if one of you were to get hurt. Where's your brother anyway? Aren't you two supposed to be heading home now?
Rowan said he's got some stuff he needs to do before we go. I think he's taking too long. But he promised to buy me jelly babies today if I keep what he's doing a secret from Mama and Papa.
Any chance you'll tell Miss Pink about it?
She shakes her head. Both her hands are going to her mouth as if to keep a precious secret from spilling out.
I made a promise. He said it's for Tia Luke.
Oh, something like a gift?
Like a dare.
Like a dare.
Tio promised to take him somewhere cool when he's old enough. Rowan's gonna prove he's a grown-up.
By going to a haunted mansion. Laughter slips free from my lips. The teacher in me wants to give whoever this Tio is a reprimand for bringing about this kind of behavior in children. But if both Suarez kids are so fond of him, there shouldn't be anything to worry about, yeah? At any rate, they're nothing but well-behaved, both Kylie and her brother. Rowan, the eldest, may have the occasional odd streak in class and out of class, but their parents taught them well. I see no reason to cast any suspicion of bad behavior on them.
As long as it isn't anything dangerous, all right?
Oh, you have no idea.
It's not. Cross my heart. My drawings are a lot prettier than what he's doing anyway. Tio said so. Do you want to see? I drew one earlier at class.
Is that why you're here?
Not really. I was gonna show it to my friend first. But since it's you, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you see it before she does.
Oh no. I can't stay right now, Kylie.
Her face falls immediately after the words are out. A small part of me feels responsible for that crestfallen look, but as much as I want to stay a little longer, there's another place I need to be right now. And frankly, another child to look after. Taking both her hands, I kneel in front of her and muster the most rueful smile I can give. At her age, I'm quite sure she already understands what I'm about to say before they're even out. but remarkably she doesn't look away and pouts as I'm expecting her to.
I'm sorry. You know what? Rowan has a class with me on Monday around this time. Why don't you drop by again next week? After class? I'll even make sure to wait for you. It's just that I absolutely must leave now. My friend had an accident earlier, and I'm the only one she has here.
What about her mama and papa?
Her family lives really far from here, I'm afraid. Do you remember where Asia is? The southeast part? That's where they are.
Her eyes immediately light up at my question. Just like that, I know I've earned the girl's forgiveness.
Oh, just like Takako.
Who?
Who?
My friend. She said she used to live there, only just a little higher than southeast. But she hasn't come home in a long time, so she doesn't remember much about it anymore. Melody says it's weird I talked to her, but I think she's just shy. They could be good friends too. Don't you think so, Miss Pink?
Maybe if you introduce them properly, they will be.
That's what I think. Takako's just lonely. If she makes more friends, she won't be anymore. Is your friend like that too?
A little, possibly. To be honest, sometimes I can't tell with her.
After all, Isabella has always been the kind to hold a smile, even when things have taken a turn for the worst. 5 years and one will think it's enough time to know a person. But then you consider it, come to think of it, all these years I've never, not even once, seen her cry. Not over a trivial matter even, or even when things got tough.
Okay, you can go to her. I'll just show you my drawing next time.
Thank you. Remind me to buy you a huge glass of parfait, all right?
No, I'll get a stomachache. Takako says so. A small one is okay.
I'll remember that. Say hi to your friend for me.
I will. I'm sure she'd love to meet you too. See you, Miss Pink.
I'll see you later, Kylie.
London Bridge is falling down, falling
She doesn't
down,
look back or wait for any
falling
sort of goodbye
down.
from me.
London Bridge is falling down,
With a song and an extra
falling
spring in her
down,
step, she bounds across the corridor with as much spirit only a child her age can have. As if the conversation has never taken any downhill turn for her at all. As if there isn't a single thing to worry about in this world. Not long after, she disappears behind the door, leaving behind strains of an old, familiar rhyme lingering in the air. Ale? Air. Carefree. Unbidden. Untroubled moments like this, I envy her. And as I resume a hurried pace, a tiny whisper in the back of my mind wishes the same can be said of myself and my own worries. Luxbourne may be a small city, but it's no stranger to hellish rush hour traffic. But surprisingly, getting out of the city today proves more of a breeze than a hassle. A relief considering how none of my calls to Isabella have made it through with the reception. Whether the reception's really bad over there, or she's ignoring them on purpose. Both does nothing to ease the disquiet in me. The rest of my drive passes without much incident as soon as I'm out on the busy streets. Oh, so she actually went to the mansion. In less than 30 minutes, the mansion? God damn, I really need to start practicing reading out loud. The mansion looms ahead of me. For all the fuss made about the house, only remains of over all the fuss Isabella made about the house, it remains a thing of beauty. Unlike Luxbourne, the estate and the nearby Anselm village stands in the complete opposite. Living and breathing the song of the old whispers of the once booming haven lingering in the air. Contemporary conveniences aside, it's a place I'm glad modernism hasn't wholly touched.
It's just a shame the locals know more of the silly hearsay than the history itself. If I could only knock some sense into these people!
Sadly, complaining is all I can afford to do. As much as I want to give them a piece of my mind, it isn't why I'm here. I don't think these rich types will appreciate getting a lecture from me either. I have as much business with them as they have with me. With a heavy sigh, I give myself one last second to take in the scenery before heading up to the main entrance. More of the guests are already heading out, though some still linger. It's mainly just to take photos of the house or its various take photos of the house's facade or its various rooms. I pause for a moment, scanning the small crowd gathered at the foyer, looking for any sign of a familiar ponytail among the sea of hats and heads.
No sign of her.
No sign of the other staff or Miss Cooper either. I can certainly look for Isabella on my own, but in a place this big, I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her before we need to meet up with Zach and Ash tonight. Sighing, I reach for my mobile and redial her, a gesture familiar now after so many attempts earlier. If she doesn't answer, I can still try contacting Miss Cooper. I just hope the network reception will cooperate this time. This side of the country has never been popular with the tech savvy, after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. On the 4th one, right as I'm about to switch to another intercept message, the line finally rings. Silence follows while I wait for her to pick up. The ring going far too long for my taste. By now, most of the visitors have already cleared out, and all I have for company is the faint murmurs and the eerie calmness left in their wake. A sudden hush settles and gives way to the noises louder. A sudden hush settles and gives way to noises louder than they're ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion, floorboards groaning under the sheer weight of the house's history. In the now empty hall, they all reverberate with special clarity against the walls. Like these old stories seem to almost have a ring of truth to it. I don't get to stray far from that ugly line of thought, though. Not a second later, a click sounds from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss Cooper called earlier
And how long have I been going? I've been going 10 minutes. Okay, so 10 minutes. I've been going. Okay, let's round up. I've been going 30 minutes and I already hear the grudge bitch. It's been a while since I had the whisper going.
Isabella? Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the line gets cut off. Busy notes blare sharply against the heavy silence. But above I should probably check this actually. Yeah, this is gonna be a choice. But above the noise cutting through the mute air remains the faint cries of a woman. From beyond the foyer, my hand falls to my side as I cast a wary look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can't be the only one hearing this, huh? There must still be some staff hanging around, checking things out. But no one does. Not even when the sobs turn more frantic and anguished.
Excuse me? Hello? Who's there? Isabella? Isabella? Is that you?
No answer. Growing anxious, I amble over to where her cries come from, each step slow and cautious, toward a door to the other end of the room. While I'm far from someone who readily gives in to fear and stories lacking factual basis, the vague, restless feeling I have earlier immediately returns to me, and despite myself, my heart begins to race and my breathing quickens.
Belle? Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body tense, My whole body tenses, mouth drags, mouth dragging in a ragged breath, ears straining for any other sound yet to come from the other side. But nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only lends itself to a heavy tension of air in the air, as if every small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging in the room. I'll wait for another sound. Then, with a caution, I reach for the door. I reach for the knob. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when when a hand falls on my shoulder.
Excuse me. Oh, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
No, it's
I was expecting a choice, but okay. Still reeling, my gaze shifts back to the door, as if any second now the cries will start again, or whoever's inside will burst out of the room. But I don't get to dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through the haze in my mind, oddly soothing in the thick of my unease. Even if the concerned look comes from a total stranger, finally being in the company of someone else is somehow comforting.
Ma'am? Are you okay?
Oh, no, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her, like a gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely, I note my tight grip on it, and quickly slip it into my pocket before she notices. She doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Recognition flashes in her eyes, and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. It's all I need to know that I don't have to look elsewhere and venture deeper into the mansion on my own. In some way, I'm not too keen on the latter right now.
Oh, Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. Girl never listen.
Rose? Rosie, may I have a minute? There's just this one little thing before we go.
Miss Cooper's head immediately snaps up to the voice. In a blink, a different kind of smile spreads on her face. A smile, still friendly even, but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
It's an impressive thing, to say the least. That level of professionalism. I suppose working years in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. It certainly doesn't seem to have rubbed off on Isabella, though.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes. Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
All right, this won't be long, I promise.
She throws me an apologetic smile before sauntering over to the small group gathered at the entrance. A couple, or siblings, and another woman, probably their secretary, wrong about the siblings. A couple, yes, and that is the... Fuck, what was she again? Interior designer or something? Fuck it, whatever. It's bad. I was just playing as her a little while ago. Or not a little while ago, a couple days ago. Oh, come on. Every time I go to record. Either way, they look no different from the other guests. All three of them primly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than the others. No frills or no extravagance of any form. But their gestures and movements alone speak volumes on their integrated lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Miss Cooper's offer would have been a much better choice than standing around awkwardly and gaping at them. All while also attempting my best not to listen in on their conversation. Although that one proves more difficult than now. How enthusiastic the blonde woman is. Her voice easily echoes through the walls with only the five of us here. Pretty soon I find myself drawn to their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
Mundane talk isn't what catches my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me. You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment, a fleeting shift of my eye.
Monday for us, Marianne.
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
I forget what may have caused this to happen. Well, not really forget, I just don't know. Journal. Still one more event on the 21st. The only person I can think of that could possibly have that is Luke.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this,
And the instant I turn my gaze to them, I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup. Aren't you, Marianne? You know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we?
I'd have knocked his sorry ass plumb out.
In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Looming, hovering over his shoulders, drawn to him like a moth to a flame. A dark... Didn't I see something like that in Zachary's? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Whenever he started beating on the door and he answered. He had that dark hue. Now I remember I asked about it, or at least put a theory out on it, you know, that maybe the ghost, the grudge bitch has some kind of shit going on with him. Or maybe he's just, you know what it might be? He might just be so evil that the grudge bitch actually has latched onto him. No. A shadow.
I think I'll pass on that, sir.
Darling, your liver.
I did not mean to do that. Why does it sound like it's underwater?
In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend to.
Darling, your liver.
Why does it sound muffled? I don't know if that's just my headphones or if that's being caught on camera or... Fuck it.
You already had a glass today, and apparently a few days ago as well. How many times do we have to remind you? Doctor's orders, remember?
Such a shame. You never let me do anything fun.
But as I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends over my whole body. It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. Sensation creeps to every part of me, crawling under my skin and draining me little by little of any strength. Before I know it, a hand is gripping the nearby door. My hand is gripping the nearby door for support. Sudden nausea drowns out their voices and what little sounds there is, all except for the whispers and laughter, judging, mocking, taunting, muffled and audible words bearing down on me like a death sentence. They wrap around my neck and limbs, binding tightly with every syllable, every utterance. And with each draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully, into a bottomless abyss. On and on and on, till the sound turns into mere distant echoes. Until suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade, and my eyes snap open. When I look at them again, it's gone.
Just a second, darling.
I wonder.
Send my regards to Isabel, please. Poor girl. Please let her know she doesn't have to worry and tell her to get some rest. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadows or dark clouds, only amicable smiles and cordial handshakes. The usual pleasantries as Miss Cooper leads them out of the mansion like a graceful host. None of the group seem to have noticed it, and even as I'm forced my breathing to calm down, keep my eyes trained on their backs, and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently she closes the great door behind her, but there's a smile on her lips as and an extra skip in her step when she walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood. Even she appears to have not observed anything odd. Was I just seeing things?
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we're going to... Hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold. Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. The weather, the stupid cold, and the friendly warning I'm too stubborn to listen to. As much as I hate to admit it, Isabella's right. I was, and still am, a little feverish when she visited me at school this morning. The medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function, it did get better after lunch, and crap. And I was able to go through my schedule like, oh my god, they need to fix the fucking wordings and shit. It's too wordy. I was able to go through my schedule like the usual. Just say like usual. You don't need to add that extra word in. Now I'm not so sure. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when it's anything but. I simply must have listened to too many times I simply must have listened too many times to Isabella last week. My fevered, muddled mind has started to confuse things. English. If this doesn't let up, I just need to keep, if it doesn't let up, I just need another visit to my doctor, plain and simple. Though I do hope it won't get worse. I did promise Zachary I did promise to watch Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics. Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well. Lead the way.
With a small nod, she gestures for me to follow. I do so without much thought, finally putting everything in the back of my mind. The entire visit took a whole 24 minutes, and my trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is a useless endeavor in itself. Isabella was no longer there, left shortly before I arrived, or at least that's what a few staff who saw her assumed. None of them knew where she went, but I can take a few guesses. There's only a number of places in Luxbourne she frequents, and, well, she's never been the complex kind. It doesn't really take a genius to figure it out. Still, it's odd she left on her own. She could have at least waited for Mrs. Cooper. It would have saved her having to pay a cab fare twice today.
And right after she was told to stay put! I mean, who does that? Oh, sod off! You don't own the road!
In the end, all Miss Cooper could give me was a string of apologies for my trouble, and a request to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair didn't even last long. Probably spent more time traveling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm weaving on my way back to downtown Luxbourne, worried sick, and on top of that, maybe a little annoyed. Whether it was an unexpected turn of events or at Isabella herself, I'd rather not think about right now. I'm not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that that's where I'll find her. As one would expect, people have already as one would expect, people are already gathered at the movie house when I get there. Fucking English, god damn. The small avenue where it's located has been closed off early from some passing traffic to make way for the avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Looking for them has taken a while in the crowd this big, but I eventually spot them near the entrance. Thanks to Zachary, mostly. And, like I've surmised, Isabella's with them.
I knew it.
Wasting no time, I march over to the little group. Words filled with concern tumble out of my mouth before I stop myself.
Isabella! Oh, thank goodness! Becca, you're just in time.
We've already heard this conversation before, so I don't know why it's going to have us listen to it again. An odd expression crosses her face as I hold it with both hands, but I ignore it in favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep still and fix her gaze on me.
Becca, you're squishing my face. How are you? Are you all right? Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Apart from her confused frown at my questions, it looks pretty much like how she would any other day. Even so, you can't really tell with these things can't really tell those things with her at first glance. The last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone, even me, who lives right next door. If I hadn't checked in on her, she probably had died on her bed with the rest of us, none the wiser. It's one thing we laughed about. It's one thing we laugh about, but moments like those also teach you something about a person. If anything, it has given me more reason to constantly worry about her. And the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her Rose. Her expression quickly changes, and gently as she can, Isabella pushes my hands away. Yet, even before she says anything, I already have a hunch. I already have a hunch about how the whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today.
That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Then and there, the whole conversation goes down, as I imagined. She dodges my hand when I reach for the back of her head, intending to check the said injury myself. Even makes a show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag. Shouting and chasing, like none of us can even be bothered to act like full-grown adults, while God damn, I cannot read today. Like none of us can be bothered to act like the full-grown adults we're all supposed to be. Can I speak the proper English? I think I can. Including Ashton. I won't put it past oh my god. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash, out of everyone? In fact, if that stupid smirk on his face tells me anything, he finds the whole mess amusing. As anyone would. Oh, for the love of...
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
Sure it is.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this, just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause. My hand's still midair as my attention shifts to Ashton and the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. He doesn't meet my eye. I don't think he's even aware of what he said. But the meaning of each syllable alone is clear, and they echo, they sting, and they burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Of course. Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put? After that little chat about money this morning. Something close to silence falls while I mull over the words. Both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. While I do find my voice, it only reeks of nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts I quickly stamp out before they surface. Thoughts I hide the best I can in the deepest parts of my mind, locking it away for no one else to see.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
Yet, try as I might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head. Like it's always done, every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too serene, whenever he thinks no one can see, every time my mind suggests his words mean more than they should. What the fuck are you talking about? Every small little thing. Despite what he says, despite his tone.
Look, you guys.
Are you talking about Ash? Because his eyes aren't green, they're blue. I don't think someone looked at the fucking designs before they wrote this. For all I know, it might be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking while he... God. Maybe I'm simply overthinking like he often tells me. Or maybe there's really is something there. But in his short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. Oops, wrong one. For whose sake is it this time? For him? For Zachary? For her? Or for me? That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
Because it's the truth.
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens, then snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond, not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty. So many things I could use to reason and get him to agree. But because he speaks with such certainty, with such reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and a reluctant nod in the face of it. Before I can get to grip with myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca!
God damn. Just how far am I? I don't know what this choice might be. Or maybe it's going to be lead me down this one since... Actually, you know what? That's probably true because I had Isabella stay, so it's probably going to put me on this path here.
It's always been you with him, isn't it?
Did you say something?
Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
A lie, obviously. What else can it be? Why? Why? Each and every smile a tiny effort to keep things as they are, or so I tell myself. Little do I know, this is merely a preamble. Little do I know, this is merely a preamble. It starts out quietly and without fanfare amidst friendly jabs and harmless teasing, with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. One that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank, no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it all looks, Isabella stubbornly insists, as if our whole life depends on acknowledging the truth of her story. Little did they know, it does. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds right now? I'm pretty sure she agrees with you before she damn near got her ass munched on. I'm bringing that joke back. The fuck is that word? Crivens? Fuck it. Even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't give me time to regret nor think over my choice of words. From there, it escalates, growing into an argument over too petty even for our standards as adults. Before I know it, one after another, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up.
There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away.
I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
But someone has to be patient in all this, and however much I want, and however much my own, what? But someone has to be patient in all this, and however much my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else can deal with someone selfishly acting like a child? Like every other time, it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Just like that, she cuts us off, slams the door right in her face, while my own temper flares before I can stop it. Although it falters briefly at the hard expression on her when she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton, I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, soured expression and balled fists, throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. For a grown woman at that. Words form at the tip of my tongue ready, but before I can open my mouth and let it all out, her feelings and mistakes are damned. Her feelings and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises a voice of his own.
Guys!
A warning underneath a warm and hopeful beat of his voice. We all stop and look at him, and even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
To an outsider, it may seem like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head over petty squabbles. This time's no different. He knows what to say, and when he lets it all out, they only ring sharp and true.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
And as careful as he is with his own tone, he does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give what little support we can give, yet here he is trying to keep three stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later, we can talk about it later, of course. There's a proper time and place for it, and at the moment my anger, whatever reprimands it carries, no longer matter. Beside me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines in his shoulder ease to something much more relaxed, his expression back to his usual nonchalance. Bella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasping at the straps of her bag like a lifeline, eyes trained at some point near her shoes. There's no anger in her face, only an undeniable hurt. But she's never been good at hiding what she thinks. Always the open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open. And when she looks up, her answer is so simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
Yeah, I was right. Her lips are curled in a smile, though lacking both its usual brightness and glee, it's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless times. It's the same. Oh, for fuck's sake! It's the very same one that she would show when she knows she's no other choice, or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. And then honestly... English, motherfucker, do you speak it? In all honesty... Oh my god, I hate myself right now. I don't know why. In all honesty, I expect her to run and balk at the first sign of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. At 26, she's the youngest amongst the rest of us, less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, holding herself and coping with it like how she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been this childish, naive girl, watching the opposite play out right now. However, I find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
All right, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I am
What
here.
was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Aw, don't cry.
Stop it!
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks at the world, and everything seems to simply fall back to a pleasant, lively rhythm with her around. How easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without bonds only years long could forge, like a lost puzzle piece, despite her jagged edges. How she holds people with her ease. How Ashton, of all people, could be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too! If you repeat that, I swear I'll...
Let's just go.
I make no effort keeping my bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, lingering stiffly in the air as I avert my gaze from them. From their playful banter, the friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles. All before the stabbing aches in my heart change to something too painful to bear. It's all in my head, is what I'd often tell myself. Yet the way my heart rends at just the sight of them hurts. And like a coward, I walk away from it all, taking with me the small hope the movie will distract me away from these thoughts. Because, like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Dusk has already given way tonight when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood like I am hoping. Neither does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy, too loud, too many people taking what little space the sidewalk offers. It forces anyone to bump shoulders with those they barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd nor the humid weather. It's not like any of them are bothering anyone, and yet even with its what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to lighten up.
So you got some other time?
Yeah, see ya!
Not even to return the smiles Ashton and Zachary gives us when we go our separate ways. I need to turn my computer up so I can actually fucking hear. Perhaps this started with Miss Cooper's call, or earlier than that. Maybe even the moment I left bed this morning. Bloody hell, it could have been because of that sodding letter for all I know. I could care less at this point. God damn it. All I want is to get a warm bath, sleep, and wait for this dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabella would stop babbling, then maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head won't turn into a full-blown headache, too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming.
Oh, so Rebecca's gonna be a bitch.
But I knew he had it in him. It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this. And everything's finally...
You weren't even watching.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it. Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. Then when I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation, just so we'll have something to fill the dead air, to replace the strained atmosphere we somehow walked into. One thing, the very thing I'm not too keen to deal with at the present. Behind me, Isabella also changes her pace to match mine, her soft strides growing brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she'll suddenly trip. She's not the clumsy sort, but there's definitely times when she can be the least coordinated person on the
Becca,
planet.
hey! Oh no! Wait for me!
And people wonder why I worry. They're not really completely unfounded once you've already grown familiar with her habits, though right now, this is also at the very end of the list of things I want to think about. Sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice, as she calls after me, sounds nothing more than background noise to my own ears, now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
I know what day it is, but the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Maybe you should stop acting like a bitch.
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella. If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late. It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier. Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
A long pause follows, and it holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I'm in no mood, but all the same, my hand stops short of unlocking the car, and my grip on the handle tightens. I can feel her eyes boring into me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answer I can give. At the same time as Zachary, she's the same as Zachary. They're bad liars. But when you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but to admit the truth. Those exact same ones I can't voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on, surprisingly. This time her tone is quieter, more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It's a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk, yet something in how she says it irks me.
If it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Whatever she wants to talk, wherever she wants to take this, I am no longer want to hear a word of it. Not at this minute, probably never. Especially when there's already a million other things buzzing and prodding inside my head. Sometimes my patience can only be tried for so long. Yep, I'ma piss someone off. Cold caught up with me.
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening.
Well, I mean, at least I made a good choice.
I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Isabella!
Yeah?
I pause, though I don't let it last, only to give myself a small window of breath before I lay down the words between us with as much restraint and my patience allows. Though which is not much after everything. I can only hope Isabella will simply take them as they are. She can be stubborn as a mule when she wants to be.
This kind of conversation tonight. Look, it's been a long day. I think this cold also caught up with me, and I'm really exhausted. Can we talk about this some other time?
She blinks, and although disappointment flashes momentarily in her face, she gives me a curt nod. A relief enough for me. Perhaps the first time I genuinely feel it today. And as unpleasant as this day has been, seeing something go the way I've anticipated takes the edge out of it. Even if lying through my teeth had to go with it.
Oh, alright. You should have just said so. I told you should have taken a full week off. Were you able to get the meds I brought you, though? Do you need anything? I could drop by the pharmacy for you.
Yeah, no need to fuss. A good night's sleep is all I need. I've been busy the whole day. I guess I should have listened to you and taken it easy. But we have exams to prepare for. It's one or the other, you know?
I knew it! Here I thought you were just upset about something. Even Ash looked a little bit worried about you.
It's fine. Let's just head home, okay?
Okay.
I'll make it up to you next time. Call me out to lunch or wherever. Just... not right now.
Okay, but should you be driving? If you want, I can call a taxi for us. You'll hate paying the extra fees, but you'll be able to get some rest on the way home.
Oops.
No, don't call a cab. I can manage driving at least. Just get in the car so we can be on our way.
I'm already opening the door and climbing into the seat before she can protest. Left with no other choice, she follows inside shortly, albeit with a bit of reluctance. The guilt from this will eat at me later, but for now, these little falsehoods are mine to bear and hide under. For now, this is the better choice. Better than pretending she doesn't exist or giving her some vague answers. Certainly better than harsh words and outright lashing out at her. I can find a little comfort in that. Thankfully, real quickly, actually. Thankfully, if there's anything else to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't. Because no sooner as we hit the road, Isabella dozes off. Despite my foul mood, I still end up suppressing a laugh. Suppressing a laugh. It needs to be singular, not plural. Laugh, not laughter. God damn, between me not being able to read and the fucking horrendous grammar and spelling. Well, I say horrendous spelling, but I've only come across one misspelled word. Grammar has been horrible. I mean, not horrible, but noticeable. A laugh once the first sound of her breathing fills the car.
Mama?
Not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady, the quiet rhythm is so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impression anyone has of her. A few faint whimpers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise it's just us, the silence, and it's so utterly unexpected. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is one thing you'll rarely get with her around. Yet it's nowhere near comforting. It merely lends the air this strange clarity. Every little sound, every single movement more palpable, and with it comes the unease. A jolt of surprise hits me. It's almost comical if this were a different situation. In my haste, I accidentally dislodge my mobile from its seat on the dashboard when I swipe at the screen. Soon, I'm scrambling blindly for it with my other hand while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. A voice crackles from the loudspeaker before I can put it back. Although the muffled breathing by the surface, I recognize the person on the other line with her chipper tone alone.
Hello?
Miss Cooper?
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. Sorry about that. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile. Were you able to meet up with her?
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone.
My hand stops dead for a moment. I spare the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens, though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines in my mouth form into a frown regardless.
Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up. Come again?
What?
Is everything all right over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? Why wouldn't... Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some...
I have to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there, although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper! Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
Only a burst of static answers me, and maybe this lapse is entirely because of exhaustion? It has been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. Though perhaps, had I paid closer attention to it, had I not been so occupied with other thoughts, I probably would have noticed earlier that it never came from my phone, but from somewhere right behind me. Well, I mean, I was ready for that one. The moment I saw behind me, I knew it was going to be some cliched shit like this. I mean, time slowed to a crawl. That would have been a fucking brake check if it was me. I'd brake check, throw that bitch square out the damn window. Looking up is a mistake. Let me just make sure that this isn't a quick time. Okay. I just have to make sure because I'm not exactly in the best place for a quick time right now. First thing I see is its face, a ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, and bloodied. Even in the darkness, the world passes by in a blur of lights outside. I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it, still trails of crimson, little trails of crimson running down its face, glistening under what little light there is. But it is the gleam of its eyes that catches mine. a quiet plea, the anguish and the despair in them. More than its hideous features, the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. And try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away. Even as its lips contort into a horrific smile. Again, brake check the bitch. Even as a sharp, harsh noise pierces the air in the silence, pierces the air in the silence.
Rebecca! Huh? Car! Eyes on the road!
I guess everything I've been taught and I've constantly reminded myself, I close my eyes. It's a brief moment, a short, vivid second of muscle memory and instincts completely taken over. And if I didn't allow it, if my hands didn't move or my feet didn't hit the brake in that exact second, I might have. Isabella and I might have. No. I shake the notion away before I lose myself in it. What she's saying is, y'all were almost mincemeat. Or, sorry, y'all were almost smashed into a fine wine. Or, became paste on the sidewalk. All those expressions that I've been taught in driver's ed. Basically. Well, except for the being fucked part, and that was just me. Adjusting. Right now it's an ugly line of thought I refuse to venture into. Not when breathing is a struggle and every ounce of strength has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice beside me still rings in my ear. We're alive, we're safe, that's all that matters. And it is not her face that I look for when I finally open my eyes. All gone. I expected stains, little telling marks and creases on the covers. Show me where it sat not a second ago. But whatever it is, it's left not a single trace. And though courage is a hard thing to gather at this point, I take what little of it remains in me and turn toward the back seat, and then there's nothing. Or was there really something in there in the first place? With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt it. This stupid flu.
I need a long rest after this.
My hands fall uselessly to my sides, numb from how taut my grip on the steering wheel had gone. Yet, still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart still pounds in erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without waiting for me, and little by little, without second by second, as I hit more, as I sit here motionless, color begins to seep back in around me. Along with it is the sound of a voice, no longer the indistinct ringing it was earlier.
Becca, are you okay? Answer me, will you? Scaring me. You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional. But with heat prickling at the back of my eyes and the mouth throbbing in my temple, I could honestly do with a little silence.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca!
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road. Or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Don't have a license.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Isabella looks away then, while what's left of the little lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because with each of those words she lets loose, because in each of those words she let loose earlier is small truth. Her stay has always been meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, go home, It's what she'd tell her. It's what she'd tell herself during the first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm still not sure if she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I still believe it. And if there's something in her, if there's something in her reasons that has changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I'll never bother to ask. Those are hers to keep.
I'll be careful this time, I promise.
Why didn't you just say I saw something in the back seat? Or I thought I saw something in the back seat. I mean, that would be enough of a fucking hint to her. I mean, the wording would have been so much better. Or it's like, you don't just see shit. Okay? Oh my god, the story makes no sense sometimes. I mean, I love it, but it doesn't make any sense sometimes.
Just please, can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
Need more chips. She nods, and that is the end of it. We spend the rest of the trip back to Salem Well in silence. All thoughts of an overactive imagination playing tricks on a flew out of mind, and the smiles never meant for my eyes abandoned, if only for a brief moment. Oops. It begins innocently enough. Tuesday morning arrives like any other day before it, bright and clear. Even though it comes with an extra helping of unusual October weather, I appreciate being able to catch a glimpse of clear skies lately. Okay, so it's the 25th. Let me... What is happening on the 25th? Okay, so... Okay, so we're starting from here. Let me readjust into an actual better fucking position. Because seriously, sitting like that is making it hard to breathe. And on top of that, it's just very uncomfortable. Okay. After going through a bout of sickness last week, it does something to lift the mood of what would otherwise be a dreary morning. I just realized I should probably check this now. Okay. And despite being mostly a creature of habit, I wind up waking earlier than usual because of it. Still no earlier than Isabella, it appears. I've assumed she'll take the day off or two because of what happened to Miss Cooper, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The sound of the morning news drifts from her unit when I walk past on the way to my mailbox. Chances are, around this hour, she's already dressed and ready to go, probably just waiting for the next bus to arrive. I've tried following her example before, but I don't think I'll be repeating that.
Really? How can anyone be up before the sun is up?
I do it all the time. It's a habit she's got from home. She said, instilled by in her by the kind of life she grew up in. Like clockwork, it's always at 4 a.m. I get up at 4:30, either to help with the chores or prepare her little siblings for school. Okay, now for what reason does a child need to get up at 4:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning? I mean, seriously? It surprised me the first time. She just didn't look like someone who could. In the end, I've simply passed it off as one of the many things anyone will have to get used to around her. Not that I'll ever fully understand. I'm my parents' only child. We aren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I don't have to think about bills or food for the next day, or paying for any siblings' tuition on top of my own, or supporting a sick father's medication. All I have to worry about all I had to worry about were my grades. If it gained Mom and Dad's approval, or what we'd be having for dinner. When put next to hers, they only pale in comparison. They look less like problems and more like petty issues this way.
Petty issues?
But as unimportant as it all sounds, sometimes its ugly head rears at the most inappropriate times. And sometimes they come through your mailbox in the form of a fancy-looking letter, pretty ribbons and all. Whoever sent this has spent silly. Whoever sent this has spent silly money on the envelope alone, verging on ridiculous, really. I can already imagine Isabella wrinkling her nose when she sees this. Then she'll complain about unnecessary expenses and rich people problems. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself, as if simply brushing a hand against its crisp surface will be enough to put a crease on it, and it'll be a terrible slight to the sender. But as extravagant as I find this, it isn't really the first time I've received one. Most of the time, it's not even from me. Who am I to complain? Either way, no look of surprise crosses my face once I flip the envelope over to see my parents' names written in a neat script.
Nothing new then.
Their years in the academy. The fuck is that supposed to be pronounced? Fuck it. Naturally brought with it various connections, people from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. This one, though, gives off a personal vibe. Letters like this usually comes from old students, people who've grown fond of my parents, and they, in turn, treat their children of their own. I've only met a few of them. Most have moved on to become successful in their chosen careers, and little letters like this, are their way of expressing gratitude. It's only thing Mom and Dad's it's only thing Ma and Dad are proud of. Okay, I cannot do the Mom and Dad thing. It's Mom and Dad's are proud of. Rightfully so, and I'm happy for them. But there are times I wish they'd simply remember they have a daughter here, the real one. Not that it's of any importance now. It's not like they can raise me well. It's not like they didn't raise me well and provide for me. They did. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for their hard work. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even if it's as small as a thing. Oh my God. Even if it's as small a thing as letting them know they've got another mail waiting for them. The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mum, her voice as warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that this mail arrived for you this morning.
A lie. Thankfully, she didn't notice. Although, if I'm going to be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it, but I put down the idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret. They're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah, blah.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry. You are cordially... It's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party. From, Hana?
The name rings a bell, though at the moment, I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. It must be nothing too important if it doesn't bother committing to memory.
Hana.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans mansion. And that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
It makes my heart clench to read another openly. It makes my heart clench to read another openly say those words to them, the same ones I want to tell them. Okay, I got confused as hell for a second. I want to see you too. It's been years since we've been together as family. And if there was one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's that Mom and Dad are still as busy with their respective careers, out of courtesy, away on some meeting or symposium. No, fuck it. Sometimes for months on end. It only grew more frequent with the years until I was old enough to live on my own. I like to think that that's how I became independent at such an early age. They always praised me for that. But sometimes I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hana. Hana Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca?
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think. But they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again.
I could go in your place.
I let it slip without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it out to be. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed note in Mom's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or some other thing, doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from It's all right.
Shit.
The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
Yeah, fuck it, whatever.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Mum, that's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties. But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring Isabella with me. You know her. She won't say no if there's food involved.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hana for you.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This, too, I can't recall. It's probably one of those meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, or at least recognized her name. As it is, the only people I remember clearly from that time in my life is Ashton and Mandy. To some extent. Mum must have sensed my confusion because she laughed.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling. Really? It felt like having two daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mom. Bye. Tell Dar to be careful next time.
She chuckles then. A hearty one. Tender as always, tender and always tender and always light on my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is a part of her. But this is a part of her I love the most. Real quickly, just how far? Not far, even. God damn, I'm not even. Fuck it. This is gonna be a long video. Either that or this is gonna be like a 3-part fucking storyline. I don't know. The sound of it still echoes even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing with it a memory from so many years ago, when life and responsibilities that accompanied adulthood were things far from our minds. If given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. I don't dwell on it though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my head. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over a phone call, then bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. Shit, I didn't even read that. For me, it just drains my what energy I have. With a whole day of teaching still ahead of me, I can't afford to look exhausted in front of my students. Even for a wee bit, it'd never be a good example to set. Oh damn. So with another sigh, I put everything at the back of my mind and tread back to my room. The rest of the day waits. This is actually what I'm going to save, and you know what? I'm tired and I really don't feel like reading anymore, so I'm going to cut the video. So, if you liked the video, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. See ya.